Hi ladies, and welcome to The Wise Wardrobe. I'm Angie, and I'm super excited about the topic that I'm sharing today, and I hope that when we're done with this video, you can implement it into your life and into your closet, of course. So what are we talking about today? Well, hats. Now, of course, not actual hats. We're talking about the hats that women wear in their everyday lives. Women take on so many roles. We're, of course, daughters and sisters and wives and mothers, but we also have roles at work, roles in our volunteer commitments, leadership roles, roles at church, and on and on and on. And so what I want to talk about today is something that I started thinking about a long time ago because so many women I knew would prepare outfits for their biggest role or the biggest hat they wore in their lives and then forget about the other ones that came along. What ended up happening was the ladies that found themselves in those positions would get frustrated or upset when they didn't have anything to wear that related to those other roles. And so what I started thinking about was how could we identify some of these hats and make sure that women are prepared for every role they have if a different type of wardrobe is required for that. So we're going to use our whiteboard today, but what I'm hoping that we're going to find is that using your hats will reduce your stress, it'll make shopping easier, and hopefully it will enhance those other roles that you are living in your life. So let's take, for instance, that you are a wife and a mom. And you probably have a ton of other roles, but let's start with those two. And let's say your husband is in the military. So if that's the case, I have several friends who are either in the military or whose husbands are in the military. And along with that comes some formal events. It comes events honoring people. And so if this were you, if you were surprised every time one of those events came around, you would be stressing yourself out for no reason. And so that's just a little illustration to say, let's think about some of the different things that we can do to prepare. So how this works is basically you're going to write down all of your roles. You're going to think about the responsibilities that go along with those roles, kind of events that come along with those roles, anything that has to do with what you would be doing or going to, and then think about some words that would describe what you want to either look like or what kind of feeling that you want to give in that role. And then you can start thinking about, do I need maybe some other pieces in my wardrobe at the ready to enhance what's going on here? Okay, so let's talk about what some of the hats you could be wearing are, and we're going to just use this little whiteboard here. So you don't need to really be able to read this necessarily because yours is going to look different. I'm just going to kind of show you what to do in the beginning. So let's put me in the middle. So here I am, and let's say that I'm a mom. M is for mom. And let's say I'm a wife. And let's say I'm a friend. Or let's say I'm single. And let's think of a couple other ones. Let's say I'm a leader at a organization, or maybe I'm a hairstylist. So let's write those, leader and hairstylist. Or let's say I'm a lawyer. I'm not a lawyer. Let's think of some other ones. How about, let's say I'm on my community board for my neighborhood. Community board. Okay, so that's obviously just some generic ideas of some roles that maybe you might have. Obviously, I didn't list like daughter and that kind of thing. Those, you're going to have quite a few, okay? And so now what we're going to talk about is maybe some different things that come along with those roles. So let's say in my mom life, I'm a hockey mom, and I also volunteer at my kids' school. So I'm going to write hockey mom and volunteer. So let's say at on the community board, I have to go to meetings. And let's say in my lawyer life, I have to go to court. And let's just pick a couple more. So maybe for single, I'm interested in dating. And maybe for leader, maybe I have to go to some fundraising events. Maybe I have to meet with city officials. So I'm going to write events. I'm writing these two out so I don't forget what they were. Okay, so now let's think about some words that we might be thinking about when it comes to the feel that we want to give with our outfits, our look in these different hats that we're wearing, and also how we want to be perceived. So let's start with lawyer first. What if lawyer Angie wants to look like she means business? Mean business. So that is maybe going to take on a different kind of styling than some of your other roles, for sure. And even if lawyer Angie is also single or also a wife or also a mom or these other things. So you can see how this is going to translate into different areas of your life. Let's say let's say in hockey, I want to look warm. So that's a different need that you're going to have maybe as a hockey mom that you wouldn't have in another area of your life. You might be investing in a different kind of coat or a different kind of boots than some of your friends were who also maybe live in the desert, whose sons don't play hockey. And how about for volunteer? How about appropriate? I know so many school districts across the nation have dress codes for their parent volunteers. Ours doesn't, but if that were the case, you might want to investigate that and make sure you're following those rules. So I would put maybe appropriate here. Let's look at some of these other things. Maybe in your leadership position, maybe you want to be perceived as professional. And maybe you're going to be with a lot of different influential people and you want them to know that you just don't represent a rinky-dink organization, that you're treating this like a big time deal or a business, and you want them to know that if they're on board with you, then you're going to give them, kind of like the best case scenario. And so that could be something that you're thinking about when you're choosing outfits to wear to that event. Leader in an organization is also an interesting role in itself because you might be having days where you're just work. Maybe you're filling boxes. Maybe you're dragging around groceries. Maybe you are cleaning at some of the different organizations. So if you've got a work day where it's, jeans and a t-shirt work day versus an event where maybe you are dressed up, those are going to be different roles even within the same role. So now we're going to take a look at our chart here and see how this could help us decide if we need to get some new items for certain roles that we're wearing or borrow them, etc. But what I want you to see also is that I'm not suggesting you have a different wardrobe for every single hat you wear. What I definitely know is that items cross over. So a blouse that you wear to work under a suit can be worn with jeans for a date night. Now, I do know people that kind of typecast their clothes and they sort of don't allow that kind of thing. If that's your bag, fine. But for most people, we are going to mix and match our clothing items and get kind of more mileage out of them. I love cost per wear, and I'm going to do a video on that pretty soon, but we want to get the most out of every item that we have. So we do want to stretch out our wardrobe by using it with different roles. But let's say you go through and you think, oh, you know what? I'm not prepared for that kind of an occasion. I'm not prepared for that event. And at least it gets you thinking, and you can start a shopping list that you're not going to go out and buy everything in one swoop, but maybe you will start thinking about, oh, I need to prepare for that event. So let's just look at some of these words that we've already written down, and we'll see if they kind of lead us to believe that we want to look at some other things. So lawyer Angie, she's meaning business. Maybe she needs to start looking at a more serious color palette. Maybe she's been kind of wearing some colors that were more fun, which is fine if that's what she's going for. But if she's determined that she wants to look like she's meaning business now, maybe she's got a bigger caseload, some more high profile cases, and she wants to look more serious, then maybe she needs to go with a more serious color palette. I don't know. Maybe our leader needs some professional wear. Maybe that leader has taken on more responsibility and would like to kind of conjure up the respect that she thinks she deserves at that role, and dressing professionally will help her do that. Maybe our mom is realizing that she doesn't have any shorts and baseball games are hot. Maybe she's taking the kids to Disneyland and she needs a shoe that she can walk in for, I don't know, how long do you walk at Disneyland? 20 hours, I guess. Maybe the wife needs to be prepared for hubby's Christmas party. Maybe they are taking up golf together, and that might include a couple of new items. Maybe the single person has decided that they're getting back out there after a breakup. And what does that look like? How does she want to be perceived? So if you've got your items now and you can say, okay, instead of this one size fits all wardrobe where I'm kind of just wearing the same thing in all these other areas of my life, what do I need to get that is specific to some of these other roles? So I'm hoping that you're thinking about maybe some things that have sprung up over the past couple years that you maybe weren't prepared for, and how you can avoid that from occurring in the future. I know those holiday parties, guess what? Every year they're at the same time, and I'm going to put myself on this list. I have been caught off guard by not preparing myself, so I know it can happen so easily. But how can we make that not happen in the future? I'm thinking about a few funerals that I had to go to a couple of Mays ago, and wow, I did not have a regular pair of a conservative black heel. I had plenty of shoes that had sparkles and whatever all over it, but nothing for an occasion like that. And oftentimes at the funeral, you're not having a lot of time to go out and grab something. Think about the things that come up in some of these roles and what we need to have on hand for those. And most of all, after you've done all this, I want you to feel, okay, I'm not going to be stressed. I know what I need to buy. And hopefully my roles, these hats that I'm wearing throughout my life, throughout the community, throughout my world, they are going to benefit from me being prepared and conveying the message that I want to convey. I hope that you have something that you can take away from today's video, and I hope you'll join me on future videos here at The Wise Wardrobe.